Having returned to the computer, it's a very easy thing to do now. Because now you only need to send the file that you have previously prepared to the laser cutter. And you do that by printing the document. So hold Control and press P. And then you make sure that you select as the printer the Spirit GLS 4.07061. That is the laser cutter. Very good. And then you click Setup and Continue. Go to Preferences. And this is very important. No matter if you're using a preset file or if you're just using custom settings, the first thing that you need to do must be to load a preset file. Because that makes sure that certain settings, like the paper settings, should be extended, that is loaded. So no matter the material you're gonna laser cut in, you can select any of it. Alright, if you double click, then that is selected. Now if you go to paper, you see that this has been checked as extended. It is more evident if you choose another one in the line, because that is automatically moved to the top then. But if you want to use a specific one, like we want to do, you can click Load. And then you can either load from the template folder here, or at the USB drive that will be prepared. There will be templates here. We can go back. And then we'll choose 1mm cardboard. Very good. Now this is loaded. And then we go to the Pen tab. And in the Pen tab you see what the different color values for the different stroke colors for the different curves, what they actually signify or what they will be processed with. So all curves with a yellow stroke color will be run with 90% speed and 20% power, a fairly light etching, and cyan equal speed, more power, so a darker, and magenta equal speed but even more power, so an even darker. And here it is important, since our geometry it only has green and red curves for cutting, then we want to make sure that the speed value is adequately set. Usually for cutting through material you always have 100% power, but for a test, for an initial test now, we can use 10% speed for both green and red. It is of course logical that the green and red one has the same setting. Then we can go to paper and just make sure that this is checked, extend, very good. And then we can click OK. Having clicked OK, we can click print. It will not print yet. And now we see here that the document is not as we want, it's not oriented correctly. We make sure anyway to change the media size from defined by driver to the one that says here, Laser Illustrator. Allow it to process, and then you see now this looks correct. The last thing you want to do is to make sure that the placement is top left corner, the same as the laser cutter, like that. That will make sure that the cardboard material in this case has been placed at the origin of the machine and that the document's origin is the same, top left corner. Now either you click Done, which will save the settings but not print, or print and it will actually print. The first thing we're going to do is actually do a test. So we will press Done and not print. This will save the settings but not print. Done. We will actually now create a new layer here in the right hand pane. We will name this Test. With the rectangle tool, by pressing M on the keyboard, we'll do a small rectangle there. We'll make sure that this has no fill color. We'll make sure that this has red as its stroke color. And make sure that the stroke thickness is 0.001 points, 1/1000th of a point. We'll press V to change to the selection tool. And just verifying this, holding Alt and scrolling, we'll zoom in. Very good. And now we can hide the layers that we have previously prepared. So this one and that one. And then Control P to print that one. Since we already saved the settings, they will have the same settings. So we'll press Print. Very good. If it would have said that error could not be print, then usually the only thing you need to do is to click OK or Cancel and then reprint. Print with the same settings once again, and usually it will work. If the Illustrator window If Illustrator does not respond when sending the print, what usually works is turning off the laser cutter, signing out of the computer, turning on the laser cutter and signing in again. This works in most cases. When the file has been successfully sent from the computer that is attached via Ethernet to the specific laser cutter that you have booked, you can see here in the top row here, you see an index number. In this case it begins at 01. And then what follows is the name of the file that you have sent. If you send several files to the laser cutter succeedingly, then you can use the F1 and F2 key here in this user interface to go previous and next file index. In this case we only have one, so we cannot do that, but you will see that later. The graphics user interface also states here the speed and power of the first operation that it's going to do with this specific file input. So in this case, speed 10% and power 100%, corresponding with the settings that we chose. We can press the start button, and it's the center of the button that is actually responding. That test took 5 seconds of active laser cutting. It's a very nifty way to do that, and just verify beforehand that the settings that you choose are adequate for your whole sheet. The beep that sounded was the signifier that the laser cutter job is done. We'll open the glass bed here. If you would laser cut plastic materials, then it's important that you allow the ventilation for at least 5 minutes to ventilate out. I'll open the glass window here, and then we'll check if this actually went through. And it did. It went through and it looks really good. There are practically no burnt lines, and the angle of the cut is very good. So I think the settings are very good. This one we can discard. Alright, then we are ready to send the actual file.